start our new year with a 2-part workshop presented by Lee Aldridge of Soul Story Creative, and she'll be taking us through a little workshop that she has titled Stand Out in an Oversaturated Marketplace, Bring Story into Your Business and Shine Like the Sun. Yeah, I like how you have, there's a whole story in that title.
That's right. That's what SEO likes.
Okay.
Follow my lead. Little tip off the bat, there's a headline analyzer if you Google that.
Okay.
Super fun. Okay, guys, thank you so much, Ula, for that introduction, and everybody for being here, Stephanie and Fred for helping out also. I see the familiar faces. I'm so grateful. And welcome 2024. Are we all here for the, let's clean the slate. We're going to start this really strong, for our impact and what we're doing here in the world. So I honor that you're here. And, the framework I'm going to teach you today is going to give a major boost to your business, your program, your practice by setting you up to become the trusted authority, the go-to person, and differentiate yourself in this sea of sameness that we're dealing with. So let me get started. I'm going to share the screen and we will get a little technological. That's not what we wanted to see. Can everyone see the slide? Are we doing good on that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So yes, stand out in an oversaturated market. For those who don't know, I'm Lee Aldridge, founder and owner of Soul Story Creative, where I help you guys build a brand that allows you to stand out and become known. We kind of already said that. Can you see the workbook here? I just want to make sure we got everything technically.
You're presenting the standout slide.
Thank you. There is a workbook for you guys that's in the email. You don't have to have it right now, but I want to let you know that it's there and you're going to want to download that after today for sure if you haven't already. So check your email. Now, this is a lot of content. I would appreciate it. Maybe you want to consider closing your windows, turning that phone off, and just letting this be our space. And having said that, let's just come into the room. I know I need it. We'll just take a few deep breaths. And just put your feet flat on the floor. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Let's get really grounded and breathe in from the top of your head all the way down your body. And we just see that whatever is seeking to emerge comes through. We get exactly what we were looking for an abundant, wonderful 2024. And thank you, we are all here. All of our needs are abundantly met. And this is the way that it is. So be it. Okay. Let's see what we have today. Everybody here and having fun so far? I'm going to see if I can get the chat out here so I can follow along with that as well. Here's how it's going to go today. I got a lot of content. So we've got lesson 1, the reality check, standing out in a sea of sameness. Lesson 2, what is a brand story? I'm going to teach you story copywriting, and it's so easy. You can even use it with AI. So there's a little bit about that. Then you're going to take some assignments home for the class in a week. So we have an extra class with Arch this month, and that's next week. And then You're going to come back next week and we're going to actually pull it all together. So be sure and mark your calendars, because you're going to, everything you do today and in the week between, you're going to pull it all together next week. And that's when you get all the big coaching, and we'll be talking about individual situations. Sound good? Okay. Who is this for? Well, it's for entrepreneurs who have a big message to share. Like, we've got some work to do. We want to make an impact, but we feel like we're lost in a sea of sameness, spending money, spending time on marketing that doesn't work, or just time, wasting time spinning our wheels with no idea how to really fix it. But at the time, we want to just have people come in the door. Like, can't they just come and we can just do our great work? We want to be known. We want people to know we're here. Now, what's in it for me? Do you know that that is the only question anyone ever asks before they buy anything? What's in it for you today? I'm going to show you how to stand out, attract your ideal clients. Marketing. Ew, we don't want marketing. But you're going to not feel salesy by working this process. I'll show you why. But the real thing is you're going to have content by the end of next week that you can use on your website in all of your stuff. So, lesson 1, stand out. I got a question. Before we can get into the content, I got a question. And this question, if answered yes, can change your life. It can change your business. It can change the impact you can make. And yeah, it's going to change your bank account. This one question, when answered yes, can transform everything in your business. Do you dare to be seen? And I'm not talking about headshots or getting your photography or your logos, colors, and fonts. No, I'm talking about, are you willing to be authentic? Because what I know for sure is if you don't show up authentic in your business, in your marketing, you're not going to grab the attention. So I'm going to show you exactly what that means and how we're going to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a little assessment. Okay. Everybody with me here? I'm going back to my screen share. This was just pulled. I mean, we've got to know what we're dealing with. You guys are used to research. You're researchers and you're scientists. You understand things. So I have to look at the same thing. Like in our first year, 80% of us are going to be good. We're going to make it. And by the end of the 3 years, it's down to about 60%. And then we go to 50%. And half of us will just call it quits. That's the reality. And me being a hacker and a shortcut without sacrificing quality, I'm looking at other things like the brand storytelling statistics. 83% of buyers award instant trust through shared values. You don't have to earn it. And about the same number, 82%, that's a lot of people. They buy based on your authentic brand image. You have control over that, folks. And 92% of the buyers, that's almost 100%. They want their marketing to feel like a story. I can solve this problem. I have no problem solving this problem of business failure, because the two main reasons of that failure, as we just saw, is hiding your authenticity and just confusing the heck out of people with all, whatever you're talking about. So we're either invisible or we're confusing. So let's talk about number one. Coming out of hiding is tough. And because what it takes is embracing that which you were probably shut down about. At least that was true in my story. But if our authenticity is what everybody wants in the marketplace, it's actually our distinction. That's how it works. It's the same thing. And in a society that profits from us being in self-doubt, we've got to overcome this by being rebellious and being weird, because your authenticity is your distinction. Well, for me, confusion set in early. Growing up, everything was confusing. And I was brought up in Durham, North Carolina, in a perfectly manicured neighborhood. And I was groomed to be a debutante, go to Duke and marry a doctor and be in the junior league. That really wasn't who I was. On the left here, my little spriteness, playful spirit was like, sit down, calm down, settle down. So I learned to play small, and I became that perfect little fake smile girl, And the whole thing that bothered me was that inside of this house, it was not Norman Rockwell. It was nothing like that. It was chaos, yelling, lies, and I knew it. We're smart. So I grew up pretty angry, and I resorted to escaping. I didn't feel connected to anything. I didn't know who I was, what I stood for. I just numbed myself out. And what saved me was a high school elective class where I discovered photography. And now I had a reason to be there. Oh, sorry, y'all. I keep going back. And I could hide behind the camera, but be in life. So it worked. I found a solution. I had a great career. I started shooting weddings, and I memorized everybody's names. No other photographer was doing that. That was really weird. But I was brought up to remember everybody's names, and I didn't want to be at the wedding when I had to shoot something and have to remember your name. So I thought, well, damn, I got to remember them before. So I had the bride bring all the pictures and the names. I wrote them all out and had them memorized. So that was kind of weird. But this is what I got because of it. There was no other photographer capturing, grabbing photos like this. And I became known for it for 30 years plus. And I had to embrace my weird. Now, photography, I couldn't do it anymore. My body couldn't deal with it. So I had to reinvent myself. And that was very hard because I had to come out from behind the camera. And I went to school for branding and marketing and all this stuff and coaching. And in 2015, I came out from behind the camera doing Facebook Lives. I was so nervous. Oh my God, I was crying the day before. And what the key was, nobody knew what it was and nobody was there. I was begging my friends to come show up on it. It's just the stories we tell ourselves. And the next year, 2016, I got on stage in front of 100+ people. And my talk was Authenticity Sells, Creating Connection in a Digital World. And I'm here to tell you, I am as authentic as I can be about my inauthenticity. I was devastated I titled it that. But it wasn't by accident. And I became and did more talks. And it was because I did this work of letting go of who I think I'm supposed to be and embracing who I truly am. You saw me up there. I was having fun. I'm having fun now. You know, giving this talk for you guys, but it was not like that. So back to these biz rates, I knew it. And every day I know this and I get out, I do this. I said yes to Lynn. Thank you, Lynn, because it gives me a chance to say yes and show up. So the thing is these two reasons that cause that business failure. The second one is confusing messaging. So we took care of that hiding thing, but what about this confusing messaging? Because what I see all the time is people throwing money at the wrong place at the wrong time. Facebook ads, really? Oh my God. You know, you don't need to. Logos, websites, it's just too much. And this is where we get into trouble. Because truly, when we're consistent, not just throwing money, we can get our revenue, our impact. We'll make 23% more calls or more clients, revenue, opportunities when you're consistent. Why? Because of that no like trust factor. Do you guys see how this is all pulling together with this trust thing? Or is this landing with y'all? Just let me know in the chat. Yeah, Ula knew what that question was. How are y'all doing? I'm not getting any feedback here. I'm going to take it as good then. Okay.
I was just repeating your question in the text, so in case people didn't hear it.
Right. Okay. So everybody's hanging in there with me then.
Yep.
Zoned out. Okay. Because what we tend to do, and I'm guilty of this, y'all. I'm just guilty. I can't even brand myself because we can't read our own label when we're inside the jar. But what happens is we start just on social or just making posts, it's inconsistent, it's diluted. And what we really want to do is have quality content that we can put out there. It's that simple. Just make quality content. I'm going to show you in a brand story how to do that. Because the true cost of inconsistent branding is it damages your reputation, you confuse people, and you get lost in that ocean. So what we're going to focus on is creating connection in a digital world by being authentic. Because people can't share values and like you unless you're showing up real. We don't have to have everybody. Consistency across all platforms, Becky, means your website, your emails, your social posts, what you're saying to people, how you're talking to your clients. You want to have a consistent message. And you want to, it's that old adage of people have to see you 7 times. What we're doing is we're shortcutting that with this trust thing, because consistency is going to create that trust by you saying and speaking the same things across all platforms. That's authentic, where you share who you are and what you stand for, so I can see if I like you or not, if I want to do business with you or not. So we don't need everybody. We just need those that really love us and can pay us. Okie dokie. Remember the survey. This is what we're trying to do. Build trust, instant trust through shared values, showing up authentic. And now it's because they want the story. So what is a brand story? Some of you guys know. Some of you guys have a brand story already. So the thing is, people don't buy the best. You don't even have to be the best to attract buyers or donors or speaking opportunities, whatever it is you want. A lot of people think it's logo, it's a website. Now I've got a brand. But we're talking about a brand story, not just your posting. We're talking about your message. A brand story is an emotional based narrative. How do you feel? It's not just features, it's benefits. It's not just, what's going on in your world. You don't have enough clients, but how's that making you feel? You feel like your business is out of control. You're frustrated. You're disappointed, So we want it emotional based of how your service solves that problem, built on your weirdness, your authenticity, your differentiator, your distinction. And it's always told, this story, from your client's perspective. Now, I'm curious about Arenas for Change members specifically, because you guys are steeped in story. It's how you facilitate. It's your facilitation style. And I'm talking about story in marketing. So I'm going to ask you in a little bit how these correlate after we go through a little bit more. So a brand story is really your building blocks for all your marketing, the phrases that build into a narrative, compelling story that you use on your website. Again, Becky, to your thing, your email, social media, this is all your platforms. When you're a guest on a podcast, you're saying the same thing, the same brand promise. You can even use your brand story to write a business book and get it published so that you can have speaking engagements at conferences and things, for example. Now, this is an example of a brand story. It's a document, but it's something that you use in guide your marketing copy, like when you're going to do an email. And they all have this table of contents. And you can see the brand promise up here and the soul power statement. Next week on January 10th, we're going to build your soul power statement from the work that you do between now and next week. And we're going to assign that in just a little while. You've got your ideal client, their pains and desires, struggles and desires. And there's your power positioning with your distinction and your soul values, because you need to know those, right? Then you come down to your visual. This is where your visual is down here. Your revenue channels, your marketing, and your website is last where we do that. But all up here is your brand story, where the messaging is. So you go to the brand promise, Harmony Family Therapy, where nurture, nature, play transforms lives, helping you and your children communicate effectively so everyone thrives. The soul power statement here is what you're going to be building specifically for your business. Parenting is difficult, but it's possible to learn how to do it better. And then this whole paragraph, I'm not going to read it. Now we've got the avatar, the definition of them, and it goes on and on. Their desires. So as we move on into the presentation, we've got to ask that one burning question. How much is confusing messaging costing you? So let's unpack this and see how we can approach this big honking thing. Okay, Kathy, I don't know, but we'll get that workbook to you by the end of the thing, by the end of the day, but definitely by the end of the end of the presentation. So we've got 3 steps. This is a tree. And we want to build a live oak tree with lots of good roots that are strong foundation. And that's what I'm proposing here, is that we start with your brand strategy and your brand story. Your power positioning is all down here, your ideal client, your offers. The customer journey is so important. Remember, it has to be told from their perspective. Captivate, that's the second step. And then your communicate is all of your marketing. Website, email, and social media are the three main branches in a full marketing program. And then all the strategies that go under it, the tactics, I call them. So we're going to focus right here on power positioning and ideal client today. How do we do that? We start with step one, clarify, and we answer these three questions. Who am I? What do I stand for? And why should they care? These are the only three questions that we really have to fully answer. It's simple. And there's a deeper process that we go through with sub-questions to answer this. And that's what you're going to do today. We're going to answer these three questions in your homework that you're taking with you. So the first two, who am I and what do I stand for? That's our authentic expression. That's our differentiator, our distinction. The third one, why should they care? The narrative is told from their perspective, always. Let's look at Barbara's case study a little deeper. We just saw her brand document. Her brand story document is where we pulled all of her content. And when Barbara came to me, she was tired of working in the Alexandria, Virginia school system as a school counselor and wanted to start her own practice. But she was confused about marketing. It was way too much. And she didn't like selling. So we had a mess. Like, there was a problem. She couldn't move forward in her life, right? So here's what we ended up with. We built her brand story that you just saw with all that table of contents, all the contents in there, and we used that to build this website and her emails. And if she was doing social media, which she's not, she would use it for that as well. Harmony Family Therapy is the name of her business. We didn't come up with that at the beginning. We did the work and we realized, Harmony is really what she's proposing. She's proposing to turn the chaos into a harmonious home. And so Harmony became the obvious choice, but was it children's therapy? She really wanted to be full family. So then it became full family once we looked into who her ideal client really is and what her offers really could be and what the market would bear. That's strategy, brand strategy, what I just said. Just for the name, we needed to understand all these other components before we could come with a clear, cohesive name, because it represents who she is and what she stands for and who she's ideally and uniquely qualified to serve. So we come to helping you and your children communicate effectively so everyone thrives. And then we have parenting is difficult, but play therapy changes everything for everyone. Doesn't that make you feel better? And this is clearly what Barbara believes in, right? This is what she stands for. But it's also resonating with me or not. Like somebody that's looking at play therapy that's not into it, that thinks it's woo-woo or stupid, they're not going to keep scrolling, which is just fine. Then we come to her about page, and I want to look at this a little bit because a lot of times, I don't know how many of you guys have heard of the term imposter syndrome? Just put in the chat, yes or no. Imposter syndrome. Anybody heard of that? Okay, we got one no. Couple of no's. Yeah. It's a nasty little thing. You think I had it coming out from behind that camera? Big time. And my ego was all over that, keeping me safe so I wouldn't get squished down, And that's what we tend to do on an about page is we talk about ourselves too much. And we lose sight of it's still about them. It's still what's in it for me. It's told from their perspective. So the about page can be about your credentials and your awards and your brilliance. Yes, it's so important. But it's also a place for you to shine in your signature system, which hers is nurture, nature, play. The 3 keys to bringing out the best in your family so everyone thrives. Everyone thrives is the brand promise. So we go through all 3 on this page. Yeah, it means that a person fears getting found out that they're not really qualified to do their job. Yeah, that's good, Ula. I love that definition. So this is a chance for Barbara to shine in a different way, in a way that can garner those shared values, that feeling, because we want that instant trust. Now, Barbara has an equine assisted certification, and she does have a ranch outside of Alexandria that she takes clients. And the good news is we did that roots work. We did the SEO. What were people typing in to look for somebody like Barbara? And we baked it into the brand story. And within 6 months, Barbara has a full roster just from the organic SEO alone. That is strategy. You see how this strategy thing comes in to pull everything to success, to conversions. So again, we're down here in step 1. So we've really conquered the confusing messaging and hiding your authenticity with this brand story. We've got clear messaging and we're going to be authentic in our power positioning and our differentiator. Okay, I want everybody to just consider standing up. We got one more little piece of content, take about 6 minutes. And this is, we're just going to get our blood moving a little before we go into story copywriting, because this is the part that I really would like to see if you guys, how it correlates as you're working with it this week. Because I know I've had, some, watch the case studies in the portal of Arenas for Change, and I understand that, but it's just interesting that I also use story so heavily in all of my work. So, okay. What do we got? Bedragger syndrome.
I'm just translating it to Danish.
That is so funny.
Yeah, fake
Fake it till I make it. I love it. That's great.
Right.
Yeah. What's the fake it till I make it? Yeah. Oh, that's what Karina's saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's funny. Okay, so story copywriting. Let me tell you guys, it saved me because I didn't know anything about copywriting until I started studying Don Miller and story brand and understand. I'm a storyteller. I've always been a storyteller. It was part of what didn't allow me to be a debutante because I was a little too, talkative. I didn't want to be. But so story copywriting, because we're hardwired for story, it's the oldest language. When we hear once upon a time, we're like, what? What is it? And we know that story arc. You guys probably use it. So it conjures our senses. It's a way for us to use those feeling words. It's that emotional base part of it, and why I love bringing story into a brand story. Everybody just loves hearing a good story. So what you're going to get from this is you're going to save lots of time. Your quality gets better. Remember, it's important. You don't have to do a lot of content or a lot of posting. It's just you want a rhythm, and whatever you post, if you're going to do social media, you do it once a week, twice a week. You know, what suits your personality? I have clients that don't want to do it at all, so we don't do it. We do other things. Confidence grows because not only do you have this aligned brand story that's you, but you know how to deploy all of that content. You know how to build it. And because, you know, story connects with our brain and the stories become memorable, you become memorable and you inspire others. How to tell a story? Well, it starts with the hero. And that's not you, by the way. It's your client. Because we don't want to compete with them. And we want to understand them. What do they really want that we can give them? What are their struggles? What is that problem that we can solve? And how can you position yourself? You see, you have control. Once you figure out who that matches, you have control and you can write the words that resonate, pull them to you. Do you see that? How that works? Super cool. Thank you, Julianne, for responding. It's much easier when you're on a stage. You can see if people are really understanding. So I've got you up here. Thank you. Putting you on the spot. But a lot of times, just like that about page, if we go in that about page and start putting all our credentials and how great we are and what we've done and how I've done this and I gave this talk and I did this and I helped, you know, these big brands or whatever, how does that prospect feel? Just think about that. When they land on your page and they're hurting, they're in pain for something, and they see you on that about, and you're just great. You're so great. You're just great. I'm so happy for you. How are you going to make my life better? And I'm gone because I don't care. I just want to feel better. So your avatar, your ideal client is the hero of the story, and we want to be careful to not compete. They have a struggle. You do your interviews. They've got external struggles and soulful struggles. How is that not having clients making them feel? How is that marketing that didn't land making them feel? That's what I need to get in touch with deeply and use it in that brand story, because people do buy solutions to those problems that's making them feel bad. They want to feel better. So they meet a guide. Number 3, they meet a guide. They need some help. They've hit a bump in the road. They can't go further. They can't get those new clients and avail themselves of 23%. So they meet a guide that can solve that problem. They say it in their words and their heart. They're sharing their values, so they win their heart. And a lot of times it's been there, done that, like my story of being behind the camera. It's the only way I could deal with life. People want to know who they're buying from, and they trust someone who has the plan. And so they have a plan. That's when we talk about, I'm talking about clarify, captivate, communicate. You guys understand that I'm not all over the place, that I have a plan. I know how to get you to stand out and get people in the door, which is my brand promise on my homepage. But you understand me now, this not all this confusing marketing, I hope. At least you're beginning to get it. Okay, number 5 in the story is it calls us to action. This story is going to call them to action because they know we understand their problem. They know who we are because we've shared authentically. And now we've given them a plan. Do you want it or not? They have to be invited. And that's where a lot of us fall short. I do. I don't want to sell. If you want it, you'll let me know, right? Because I really am not, I'm not pushy. I'm not pushy. That's the way I feel sometimes because I don't want to invite them. So now I'm like, would you like to hear how I might be able to help you after I've done the interview? And they either say yes or no. So I feel better about that. So don't forget to invite. And then, of course, they engage us and they live that brand promise of everyone thriving because the kids and the parents understand how to communicate. In Barbara's case, in your workbook, you're going to have these templates. This is a visual template of the story copywriting, and this is the written out. So you can just use that as you go into this. Now, I want to keep this in here that the Seen Through Story workshop is coming up January 17th through the 18th. It's a 2-day, and it has been so popular. I know a lot of you have already taken it, and there's a great rate on repeat. But now you are going to walk into January 17th into this workshop having your marketing power statement that you can not only get this skill set, but walk away from this Seen Through Story workshop and go out and implement it into your practice along with the marketing that I'm showing you how to do. So you're getting a double boost. Not only are you increasing your toolkit and getting really much better at the Seen Through Story keystones, but you're also going to be able to market your new improved brand and business. So that's a good deal, right? So here's your workbook. How are we on time? Good. Here's your workbook. And you're going to walk through these exercises. Remember the 3 questions. Who are you? What do you stand for? And why should they care? We're going to walk through those. You're going to see this on page 3. Embrace your weird. Spend some time with these. In the workshop where I don't do this in 2 sessions, it's very hurried. We do the whole thing in an hour and a half. So you have the added ability to work on this, if you choose, this week and come back next week and I'll coach you through it. We'll hammer it out. So you're going to spend time. What do your friends and family say about you? What do they say how you roll? Oh, Ula is always good for that, What do they say about Sonia? What is always, what do your clients say about you? Yeah, ask your family and friends, Lisa. You have time now to do these sorts of exercises that you do in a brand journey when you do the thing with me, with Soul Story Brand. You guys, so really great alignment of learning. Thank you, Ula. Yeah, so what have you always been known for? And one of the exercises that is really neat is to just go back, all the way back, as far as you can remember, and draw out a timeline of your hobbies and what things you were enjoying at certain points in your life. And you just may see this common thread. It's really cool. What's your superpower? What do you say your superpower is? Let's see how all that aligns. That's great, Selena. I'm so glad you're there. Yeah, you can do this. When you get aligned with this who you are and what you stand for, you feel great because it's you. The second part, which is the second question of the who am I, what do I stand for, and why should they care? Is what do you stand for? What are your non-negotiables? When people come to me and say, hey, Lee, can you build me a website? I'm like, sure. What you going to put on it? Well, I don't know. I thought you knew. Like, I don't know. You need a brand story. No, I don't. I just want a website. I just want a website. I'm like, I can give you a website, but you need a brand story first. We're going to do the roots, then we do the visuals, then we do your marketing, which that's where your website is one of those branches. Non-negotiable. They're not my person. They can go to Fiverr and get their website. They might make some sales, but what convictions do you have about what you offer in your industry? Now, if I told you how rebel I am and how passionate I am about the way we treat our food animals, you might agree. You might, look at me and go, wow, man, she's really into that. But you wouldn't, you'd be like, why is she talking about that? It doesn't mean that's not part of my authentic expression, but it doesn't belong in this context, right? We can still have our beliefs over here and what we stand for, but we want to be keeping this. Now, having said that, I am a very spiritual person. I live my life as in a spiritual way, but I don't sit here and say, yeah, I'm a spiritual marketer. I could. But it's going to show up like me opening with the invocation or prayer or whatever you want to call it. And in my what you stand for bold statements, there are bold statements about about mindset and being spiritual and taking time to meditate. But it's not on my homepage. And definitely the cows are nowhere to be found on anywhere of my content, not in a blog, nowhere. I might tell you a story, about how I threw a rose quartz heart into one of those cattle pens, but see how weird that sounds? It's out of context. So when you guys, it's only 3 statements, you're different ones about different things. So let's take a look at what that might be. Parenting is difficult, but play therapy changes everything for everyone. That's a bold statement. It's paramount to respect a client's process in healing. She is not going to argue about that. It's non-negotiable. Improve your child's life by working on your own. Harmony, family therapy came right from when she said that to me in that interview. Became part of her name. That's how important these convictions are. So give this some time. People in my normal workshop, they're just like trying to figure something out. But you guys have the week. And I'm so excited you're excited. Karen's excited. Why should they care? Okay, pop quiz. Pop quiz. You ready? What is the one question that anybody asks before they buy anything? Anybody know? Yep, Selena. Yep. I gave you a pop quiz because this is so important. How will this help me? That's right. How is it going to solve my problem? How are you going to make my life better? That's what our marketing is about, is them. How we can solve that one problem. We got to know what that problem is. That means research. Listen to what your clients, your favorite clients are telling you that they loved about you. Do interviews with the story questions. Remember the story questions we just did? Call up 3 of your favorite clients to get the problems and the desires. And you go back to those questions and you say, well, what were you dealing with before we met? How was that making you feel? What impact was that having on your life? What did I do that was different? Was I different than any other person you've helped before? Can you imagine how powerful that information is? How do you feel now? Did I resolve the problem for you? How do you feel now? What is your life like now? Well, I can pick up my kids again. I can get up out of bed and go be with my grandkids. Well, how does that make you feel? See, that's an external desire, but how does it make you feel? It's soulful. It's the so that you can feel happy that you're with your family and you're not sick in bed or whatever thing. I'm making stuff up. So harmony family therapy, feeling disconnected, embarrassed, stressed out, and overwhelmed. That's visceral. Have more fun. Be confident in dealing with the school when they call. Well, they're not going to call. Feel grounded and calm. That's good selling points right there. That's in their brand story. Okay. So we're going to let you guys, I got time for some questions now. We're going to build a content. And what's the next? So where can you find me? Right here. Business support in your forum. Okie dokie. Let me know how you're doing. I'm going to watch it all week. And we can communicate in there. Right, Ula? That's a good communication.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for like staking with us through the week and coming back.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I want you guys to have a good start. And I really, I'm looking to see if this really was broken down. I might see if Ula and the team will send out a survey for me to see how y'all liked it.
Yeah.
But this workshop, I don't know, how many times have we given it now? It's been
I'm not sure.
8.
5?
8.
Oh,
I think it's more. Yeah. And it is just like hotcakes. People love it. And how many of y'all have already taken it? Who are here already? Thank you, Becky. Thank you, Stephanie. Erica. Oh, good,
yeah.
Julianne. Thank you.
And Lee, there was a question.
Yeah, need to be replaced. The files aren't working?
Okay, so there's two things. The files just disappeared. So I'm not, Fred can help with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Somebody
I was
probably.
letting everybody know. So I think hopefully you can just drag new copies into the folder.
Oh yeah, it's no problem. It's no problem. I can even do it right now.
Saved
And
it.
then there's a clarifying question from Marianne about answering these questions from the point of view of an individual or for the point of view of an organization.
Okay, where's Linda?
Um,
Can you elaborate a little?
I can, yeah,
Marianne.
this is Marianne. Hi.
Oh, Marianne.
Yeah,
Marianne.
yeah, no, I was just reading when you were talking about the homework question, like, and those good questions, those are great questions that you're asking us to answer. I'm thinking sometimes that it's me, if I am my business and it's just me, cool. But if I'm thinking with an organization's hat on, is that the point of view? Does it matter? It might not matter really.
Well,
I'm just saying there's what is my power, or what is our business's power? You know what I'm saying?
and are you the founder, Marianne?
No, nope. I'm on the board.
Okay.
I'm on the board of an organization. Yeah.
Okay. Then I would probably, for you to write this for your organization, I would do it from a collective point of view.
Sure. I mean,
Because
that sounds
you
good.
can do a personal brand within the organization or company or corporate, and it
Mhm.
works really well to get that stakeholder on talks, be invited to be a guest on a podcast, because then they're repping the organizational brand. So I suspect that like minds have joined on this journey for this organization,
Oh, yeah.
and that you will find shared values, number one,
Mhm.
and the ability for whoever the face is of your organization or faces, they're going to be able to stand confident in that because it's going to be representative of their deeper core values as well.
Mhm. Yeah. thank you.
But talk to me throughout the week, if you want to, because that's a really good question. It's going to be a good topic for next week as we unpack how Mary Ann's going to write that story. Does that help? Do you
Oh,
feel like
yeah,
you can
no,
bite it off?
Yeah, it's just like, I was just thinking on this call, there's gotta be some people here who aren't just their only, maybe it's not
Yeah.
their business, but they're like me with their thinking with the organizational hat. And yet
Yeah.
I've done coaching and mentoring, and I love these, think about it, answering these questions just for me. And how
Right.
I am in the world,
Do them
just,
for both.
but I just didn't know what direction you preferred for this particular exercise. So thank you. That was great. I appreciate it.
You pick.
Yep.
You pick what you're led to and do both if you feel like you can do, another one another time, but thank you. Anyone else? Thank you.
I have a question, Lee.
Yeah.
I and probably not one to answer maybe today, but I was thinking today as you're talking about consistency and across all platforms, and Fred and I are a co-facilitating team leader, whatever you want to call us. But there's two personalities running a nonprofit, and we each have a very different look and feel to our promotional materials. And we use both. And so I'm just kind of thinking out loud that because there's two of us that have a different personality, a different style, a different look. I use my messy art to create little, actually Fred does that for me, but and then Fred has a much more sort of grounded, professional, polished looking.
In different colors, like he's got a color palette and yours
Yeah.
is free form art. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that hurts us, or is that just because there's two of us, we need to have like that, we both need to be authentic, right?
Well, it goes back to Mary Ann's point, and it actually, for me, has to be collective. So your visuals, like, do you guys run Red Horse together? Is that the one name, Red Horse?
Yeah.
That's the one name. Okay. How is business? Do people know you? Do they know Red Horse? What do they?
Well, we're only 3 years old. Are we 2 or 3 years old, Fred? And I think we're really hitting this aligned place where the customers we're getting are the right kind of customers. We share values, right? Like, so I think people know us, but we're young.
And that's what you want to distill and get and amplify.
Yeah.
Because see, this is what's working. And then there may be these gaps.
Yeah.
So for you to, you're with your shared values, obviously, it could be your programs. Like, is there a program that's more of a, I don't know, I'm just making something up, like a women's art leadership program that's based in creation, and they actually do a painting or something? Do you?
Yeah.
But that's a program, see? And that's where your visual brand would come in very, it would land as aligned and accurate. But if you're Red Horse and you're using Red Horse logo and the brick red and those graphics, that's going to be your consistent brand that's going to garner trust more. Especially visuals people are so critical because visuals are processed 60,000 times faster than text. I mean, that's a statistic. I don't even know what that means. It sounds ridiculous, but the bottom line is pictures tell a story. So that goes with colors, graphics, and design is what we're talking about, Ula, is design. So I feel like, you know, you guys, let's look at that. Let's maybe bring some examples next week and let's take a look at how we might unify your brand and get you known as. I want to see what comes out of the messaging, because where's the visuals? In the trunk. They're in the trunk. And I bet your brand stories, if you worked them separately this week, and then look at how they overlap, and then you'll have Red Horse.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
by the way, I can't believe I forgot this. I'm going to write it down so I don't forget it again. When you go to answer these questions, you want to ask and get into a sacred state, whatever that is for you. Nothing in particular. You might be sitting next to a tree or in your bed. I don't know. What is seeking to emerge? What is seeking to emerge? And what that does is it invites inspiration and it invites Red Horse into the conversation. Invite your business into the conversation. It's an intention. So that when you two, you're each doing your own, you've got Red Horse with you, informing you. And then together, when you come together to match up and see, that's going to be fun. Red Horse is right there with you, kind of like, this is really who I want to be.
I keep thinking like how a horse shows up and has something to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You can't explain it, but there's definitely an influence that happens within ourselves that changes what words we write, what healing we get, you know, what awareness, self-awareness that happens because the horse didn't say anything.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, Sonia is saying maybe our horses want to be invited into the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell my equine people to definitely be with their animals when they're doing this work, if you can.
And Karina is sharing an arch moment, thinking how great to think the brand as what story does the client go with from my brand? Oh, what story does the client come away with from Karina's brand? What do they tell? What do they say to other people? And
how I love it.
How proud are they after meeting the horses and getting help? Excellent, Karina.
Excellent. I got to write that one down. That's great. I love that. So that's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I knew something would pop between the horses, the animals, the nature, and how you guys are you know, using story in such a profound way. I want to be as profound, but my best thing is I get to equip you guys to be profound. Okay.
You are
really marketing. I want to be a horse person or something fun, you know? No, I have fun. I have fun now. Wait till y'all see what I got coming up with AI.
I want to add to that last bit we had just as a participant in it, is that without necessarily going into the Red Horse strategy too deeply, but sharing that, I think echoing what Lee has said and will say in the next part is and helping anybody trying to decide whether they want to answer this personally or as an organization. I think it depends. And so to me, it's about being thoughtful about how many voices are in this brand, And does it make sense? So we have a couple of segments of business. We've rolled ULA's private practice in after a number of years. We have distinctly different audiences. So having a couple of voices that are intentional and from our origin story makes sense. And so we still try to frame that in a uniform, consistent way. And I think where I'm leading is that if you're working for an organization where you're not one of the principal shareholders and your voice isn't meant to drive the brand, then your role is to try and figure out what the voice is and adopt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure you're aligned with it. And so
Be that ambassador, right?
depending on who you are in the organization or how many people there are, would really depend on whether in this exercise you're thinking about what's the organization's values or what are your values. Sometimes they're the same. A lot of our businesses are built on the people. And so it makes sense to have a really clear understanding of both, because they're saying, I'm working with ULA. So ULA and Red Horse are the same thing to that customer. So in owner operated businesses, there's a really tight proximity between personal values and organizational values. In a bigger organization, one needs to be intentional about which they're in.
Gosh, thank you so much, Fred. That was an excellent, excellent answer.
And Lee, you have been very profound, and I can see in the text that people are,
Thank you. Thank you all.
you know, they're responding and thinking, and I know we're way over time, and we should probably try to wrap it up, but that's hard to do when there is an exciting topic. So, do you have
And
anything?
it was a lot of content.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go right after we hang up and make sure those files are there. The slide deck is there.
Okay.
I put the full workbook and everything. Try not to work ahead. I really want everybody to focus on this part. And then we'll put it together. But instead of making 2 books, it was just, maybe I did make 2 workbooks. I don't know. I kept going back and forth, but I'm in the forum. Ask me what you need. And, you can always email me or text me as well. So
And
I'm happy to.
just to go back to like the format, usually our calls are the first and third Wednesday of the month. But this month, because we have the Seen Through story starting on the third Wednesday, we're doing these 2 calls back to back. So it's next week at 3 p.m. Eastern that we'll see Lee again right here.
Yep, that's right. Okay, the slides and the workbook are going in there now, and I'm gonna just restrict the access instead of it being editor. I don't know how they got disappeared. But anyway, they'll be in there.
Maybe
Yeah,
I
well-
deleted them, Lee, by mistake. No, I don't think I did.
I've never had that happen.
I-
So,
I have a suggestion, but we can let everybody go first.
okay.
Stephanie, can you stay on for just a minute? Thank you. And Lee and Fred. So thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.